Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that'll shake your soul just a little bit. No contact is not a punishment, it's a power move. Let me tell you something real. Something that might hurt a little at first, but is gonna free you in the end. No contact is not rejection. It feels like it. I know. When someone you love stops talking to you, when they walk out of your life without a real explanation, when they choose silence over clarity, it feels personal. It feels like a slap in the face. But what if I told you it's not rejection? What if I told you that silence, that distance, that absence was actually God's redirection? You see, sometimes we want things that are beneath what we're worth. Sometimes we chase people who don't even know how to love themselves, let alone love us. We beg to be seen, to be heard, to be chosen, and when they don't, we feel like we've been thrown away. But baby, you haven't been thrown away. You've been pulled away. There's a difference. When God sees you drowning in a place you weren't meant to be, he don't ask questions. He just pulls you out. And it hurts. Oh yeah, it hurts. But it saves you. No contact ain't always their decision. Sometimes it's yours. Sometimes you reach a point where you gotta stop explaining yourself. Stop defending your worth. Stop waiting for an apology that's never coming. And when you do that, that silence you step into, that space you create, that's not rejection either. That's you finally choosing you. That's redirection back to your peace, back to your purpose, back to your power. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. Rejection is just a lie we tell ourselves when we don't understand timing. Just because they left don't mean you're not lovable. Just because they ignored you don't mean you're invisible. Just because they moved on don't mean you're forgettable. You are none of those things. You were just headed the wrong way. And the no contact, that space, that silence, that cutting off, it wasn't a wall. It was a turning point. Sometimes the blessing ain't in who comes. Sometimes the blessing is in who leaves. Because if they stayed, you'd still be shrinking. If they stayed, you'd still be questioning your worth. If they stayed, you'd still be giving more than you're getting. So maybe, just maybe, the no contact wasn't rejection at all. Maybe it was a divine redirection to a better version of you. So when that silence hits, don't fill it with doubt. Fill it with faith. Because that silence might be the very thing that's guiding you to where you were always meant to go. You weren't rejected. You were rescued. You ever been in a situation where you kept explaining yourself, repeating your worth to someone who already knew it, but just chose to ignore it? Let me tell you something. There comes a point where words don't work anymore. Where talking, texting, crying, pleading, it don't move nobody. You know what does? Silence. That's right. That quiet, calm, steady silence will say everything you've been trying to scream. See, begging comes from a place of fear. Fear of losing someone. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being enough. But silence comes from power. It don't mean you don't care. It means you finally learned to care more about yourself. When you stop responding, when you stop explaining, when you just go ghost, oh, that's when people start listening. That's when they feel it. Because when you constantly calling, texting, trying to get their attention, trying to fix something they broke, they don't take you seriously. They think you'll always be there. They think no matter how bad they mess up, you'll come running back. But the moment you fall silent, when you go no contact, when you walk away without a dramatic exit, when you just disappear from their access, that's when it hits them. That's when the noise in their life quiets down and your absence becomes loud. You got to understand, your value ain't in how much noise you make. It's in how calm you remain when they expect you to react. Your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Because now you're not wasting your energy trying to convince someone of your worth. You're showing them. You're showing them by walking away. You're showing them by not giving them what they used to take for granted. You're showing them by giving that energy to yourself instead. Let me tell you something. Silence leaves room for reflection. When you're always present, always reaching out, always trying to fix what ain't yours to fix, you don't have space to think. But the minute you back up, the minute you stop showing up, the minute you take that love away, They feel it. They feel every bit of what they lost. And that's something no text, no argument, no emotional breakdown can ever do. So stop thinking silence means giving up. It don't. Silence means leveling up. It means you've said all there is to say. You've done all you could do, and now it's on them. Let them sit in the echo of everything you gave. Let them miss the sound of your laughter, your voice, your good morning text, your energy. Let them remember what silence feels like when it comes from someone who used to give their all. Because in the end, your silence will be louder than all the begging in the world ever could. Let me tell you something right now. Nothing makes a person think deeper than distance. When you're always around, always available, always picking up the phone and responding to every message, people don't take the time to reflect. They don't have to. You're there, ready, dependable, too easy to reach. And when something's too easy, it stops being appreciated. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop showing up like you used to, that's when their mind starts racing. That's when the reflection begins. See, presence is comfortable, it's predictable. But absence, and I ain't talking about distance to play games. This ain't no strategy to manipulate nobody. I'm talking about distance that comes from a place of growth, a place of knowing your worth, a place where you say, I love you, but I love me too. So when you pull back, it's not out of bitterness, it's out of respect for yourself. And that kind of distance is what makes people sit with themselves. That silence you create, it forces them to confront the version of themselves they were when they had you. Because let's be real, people don't change when they're comfortable. People don't realize what they had while they still have it. It's only when something is gone that the real thinking begins. It's when the messages stop coming, when the energy they once relied on disappears, when the comfort of knowing you're always there fades. That's when they start reflecting. And baby, that reflection, that's your power. Some folks won't realize they were wrong until you're no longer there to prove them right. Some people won't value your presence until it becomes a memory. So give them that space. Let them sit in that distance. Let them feel your absence like a room with the lights suddenly cut off. Because when you were there, you were the light. You were the peace. You were the one holding it all together. And when you leave, they don't just notice the space. They notice what filled it. It's not your job to keep reminding people how good you were. Your absence will do it for you. Every time they go to reach out and you're not there, every time they scroll through their phone looking for your name and find silence, that's when the truth hits. That's when they start understanding what they lost. You don't have to force them to see it. You just have to give them the room to feel it. Because distance doesn't just create space, it creates realization. Let me say something that a lot of people don't hear enough. You are not defined by who stays. You are not validated by who chooses you. Your worth isn't based on how many people you can keep around. It's based on how deeply you know yourself when nobody else is clapping for you. And I promise you, that kind of self-worth, it don't come from chasing, it comes from solitude. You see, chasing somebody who's walking away from you, that drains you. Every unanswered text, every ignored call, every time you lower your standards just to keep somebody from leaving, that chips away at your spirit. You start to feel like maybe you're not enough. You start to question what you did wrong. But here's the truth. Sometimes it ain't about what you did. It's about what you allowed. You allowed yourself to believe that your value is tied to their validation. But baby, it's not. It never was. The moment you stop chasing and you sit with yourself, chasing someone who doesn't appreciate you is like trying to fill a cup with a hole in it. No matter how much you pour, it's never going to stay. But when you pour into yourself, when you take time to grow, to heal, to build from the inside out, that's when your self-worth becomes unshakable. And when you get to that place, that's when you stop accepting less. That's when you stop begging for love and start attracting it. Because people can feel when you know your worth. It's in the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you set boundaries and don't apologize for them. And the ones who only stayed because you kept chasing, they start falling away. But don't be afraid of that. Let them go, because when your self-worth starts rising, anyone who can't meet you there will naturally fade. And that's okay. That's part of the process. It takes strength to be alone. It takes courage to walk away from what's familiar, even if it's hurting you. But in that space, in that sacred solitude, that's where you rise. That's where your standards shift. That's where you finally say, I ain't running after nobody no more. If you want to be here, you'll show up. And just like that, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, your whole life starts to follow. Because self-worth don't scream, it don't chase, it don't beg. It sits quietly, confidently, and says, I know who I am. Let me tell you something real. Sometimes people don't see your value because you gave it too easy. You were too available, too understanding, too forgiving, too giving. You showed up when they didn't even call. You gave love when they hadn't earned it. You made room for them in your heart when they didn't even ask for it. And at first it felt good. It felt like love. But over time, they stopped seeing it as special. They started seeing it as expected. And that's when everything changed. See, people have a funny way of taking for granted what's always there. When you make it easy for them to access your energy, your time, your loyalty, they stop working for it. They stop respecting it. They stop valuing it. And that's not because you weren't worthy. It's because you were giving them the prize before they even ran the race. You were handing over loyalty to people who hadn't earned your trust. And when something is always free, folks forget it's worth something.